I firstly want to just say thank you for your work and for the period of time in my life that I found your work. Even though I have accomplished some measure of success, like in my sport, I felt like I never really knew the truth about anything. And now I'm pursuing something totally different. And my question is, when you find the truth about something, does thinking stop? So my example would be, let's just say like I ran track. If I found the truth about whether it was how to start well, I feel like I wouldn't have the need to think about what I was going to do at that point. I would just execute. So if you discover truth about a particular field like art, would the need to think about what to do or like what
and
colors to choose?
Do you mean by what to think to do you mean in terms of bodily mechanics to carry out the action?
No, so it's more like interior design. Like it's more like art, like choosing a color or whatever, or like knowing what colors to like put together. Like, would I have to think about something if I knew the truth about like what would it take to organize a space, if that makes sense?
Well, going back to your earlier example of, I think it was running that you said. So you said if I had recognized the truth, if I stopped thinking, do you mean, let's say as it relates to running, are you talking about you would stop thinking about bodily mechanics or technique or that kind of thing?
Yes.
Absolutely. Because the trouble with everything and the sports and business are the places where it shows up as much as it shows up in spirituality. It is the world of sports coaching is all the technique and method and body mechanics and form. Those are the god of sports coaching, and therefore that leads to nothing but the being burdened by thought. And so the entire sports coaching industry has missed the boat because they're all looking in the box, which actually hinders performance massively as opposed to accentuates it. So the person who's thinking about their form or their technique absolutely sabotages. I mean, they may even win, but that's because everyone's sabotaging. So they're just a little bit less sabotaging than everybody else. But if one compares it to the ultimate of what they could become, absolutely, they're way, way behind. And that is because everything is done through the lens of technique, and then sports psychologists come in and say, well, stop thinking. And that's just stupidity. I mean, this is just juvenile kindergarten, type of nonsense that people I can't believe who are adults who just talk this way. The Buddha spent how many years on, in drinking his own urine and spending years sitting under a tree and, devouring truth before he's able to stop thinking. But you tell an athlete to go out there and just stop thinking. It's beyond idiocy. I mean, it's laughable. It's almost criminal and malpractice to say such stupid things. But one has no choice but to think, if one believes, as one is taught, that it is the technique that is going to make them great. And so that applies to everything. And that philosophy, that belief, is carried over into spirituality, to meditate in the proper way and to practice mindfulness and to have meditation instructors, which itself is unbelievable. That you have a meditation instructor to teach someone to meditate. It is sheer stupidity. There's this is rampant. This disease is rampant across all areas of the culture. Across all of society, there is nothing but prescription. There is nothing but method and technique. And that is why human beings never really become ultimate. They just become better than other people, but on a relative scale. And that's why there is parity in every domain. So whether it's in interior design, as you're speaking of, or whether it's in running, or whether it's in, discovering, conquering the mind, or whatever it may be, it is not related to technique. It is related to a devotion to understanding the truth and where performance truly comes from. And all of these questions, which nobody has the bandwidth to ask because the conditioning is so deep.
Thank you.